works as a principal game artist for Naughty Dog. Okay. And he put a tweet out yesterday that kind of popped off, and he distanced himself from it as, he said people were taking it out of context. And I wanted to pull this up, his actual tweet, because on the surface, when you look at this tweet, I don't really know how you can necessarily take this out of context, but I think it's important to at least talk about. This is from Del Walker over on X. Once again, this is his title is Principal Game Artist, previously at Naughty Dog, Rocksteady Games, and Respawn. Okay, and he's talking about this right here. It says, there have been a handful of times I've pitched black women characters that look like this. Then after 10 iterations, the concept or model comes back without a speck of original beauty. So talking about this character here, he says, I'm not talking about model changes. I'm talking about their pose, aura, style, softness, age, and flair. I hate giving Gamergate men fuel, but it's very difficult to pitch beautiful or vain black women in games without them coming back like grocery store aunties. There's room for both. Now, I don't understand how you can take this and like twist this at all. It seems pretty, for lack of a better term, black and white here. This is what is pitched. This is what's come back. This is what's been pitched. This is what comes back. It's very obvious. Arch, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, judging by the Palestine flag in the bio, I'd say that this is a progressive individual's first encounter with the, oh, wait, we are making female characters ugly. Shock and surprise. Yes.
Blabs, do you, we've talked about this extensively on the show. The masculinization of women. Actually, we were talking about this before the show. There was and let's get into this a little bit real fast. This tweet that you put out, Arch, as we can kind of go right into that. This is a tweet that you had out, Arch, and I want you to walk us through this.
Oh, so the one on the left was a meme made by a progressive, which is trying to make fun of the idea that strong jawlines make characters look masculine. What was it here? Oh, yeah. Don't strong jawlines make characters look heroic? No, that's only male characters. So what makes women look heroic? Tiny waist, massive tits. And the thing is, he decided for some reason to put a lot of feminine traits on his exemplar character. She's got heavy eyeliner, she's got big lips, etc. And if you remove those, which is the next picture to the right, suddenly she looks like a man. Because that is the strong jawline. And we've known this forever. Like, we can go back to painting tutorials from like the 80s. Go like, okay, don't make the female character's chin massive. It's going to make her look like a man. And even the guy who made this meme understood this, which is why he added in the feminine signifiers. Like this, and you can't do this by accident. Nobody making a game in which you can make a character look as perfect as you want accidentally makes an ugly character.
Well, you continue. This is you sent this before the show as well. This How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. This was kind of, why don't you talk about this a little bit?
This was by Stan Lee, the man himself, way back in the day. And in this tutorial, like, he goes through the steps. Like, okay, here's how to make a male superhero, this how to make a female one. And he talks about something called the heroic proportions, which is how they made the superheroes back in the day. They were bigger, they were stronger, they were exemplars of their type. So the men were big and strong, and the women were lithe and beautiful. And he goes through all of the signifiers, like women's are supposed to be soft, like they're supposed to be elegant. Men are supposed to be big and square and strong looking. And this is a universal truth. Like, you can go back to ancient Greece where you do this. We have the statues of these exemplars of the human form with the tiny peepees, because that was sexy back then. A little known fact, the Greek preferred small peepees.
Oh.
Yes, big dicks were a signifier of a low intelligence back then.
Oh, all right, nice. Thanks for that.
There's hope for you guys out there who have small peepees.
That's right.
Big brained.
And it's purely disingenuous when the people go like, oh, the massive jaw doesn't make them look masculine. Like, yes, it does. We all know it does. You yourself know it does. Shut up.
Listen, I know that there's a lot of guys watching the show, and a lot of normal men feel a lot more confident right now because they feel a lot more intelligent right now, which is wonderful. Thank you for sharing that wonderful knowledge with us, Arch. Appreciate that. I've always wondered why David's wiener was so small, and now we know.
I didn't have that on my bingo card today. Craig wonders why David's wee is tiny.
Listen, who has it at some point? Come on, let's be real.
What do? You take a microscope and be like, too small.
No, you've never seen the statue of David?
Yes, this is actually Craig, guys. All right, let's see. Not too small.
Tiny pee-pee was fashionable back then.
I go, man, he sure is smart.
Okay.
Anyways,
another fun fact on the history lesson. Do you know why so many of the statues either have a fig leaf or they don't have privates at all?
No.
It is because one of the popes of Rome, who had most of these statues, one day decided that it was hedonistic to have naked statues. And so he went around with a chisel, smacking off statue peepees.
Nice.
Imagine that as a hobby. What do you do for fun? I chop off fake dicks.
I love the idea that this guy's walking around with a hammer and a hammer and a chisel, walking up and going ka-chink, and then he's walking around with a wheelbarrow full of wee-wees.
Shouting heresy all the time.
Heresy! These little kids walking behind him, like picking up these stones that he's throwing. Anyway, whatever. Wow. Anyways, and that is how you bring it back to video games and straw jaw lines for women in video games. There we go. But you wonder if this guy's like, hey, man, like if he's starting to see this, surely other developers are starting to see this, right? Along the way, and why can't they just say anything?
Well, I think that they are seeing it, but when you're deep in the ideological bubble, you can't really begin to admit to yourself that you were wrong. Like, this is one of the human self-preservation mechanisms. Like, if you are wrong and then you suddenly realize, I'm really wrong, the first human reaction then is to try to find some way to not be wrong long before you begin to honestly realize that, yeah, no, this was actually a bad thing. It actually requires a tremendous amount of self-insight to finally go like, yeah, no, I'm sorry, I did a bad here, you know?
Well, yeah, you're right. It's self-preservation, 100%. And but we'll see. I mean, if this guy's starting to turn, you wonder if, and once again, he's probably going to be labeled like a horrible person for saying this by some colleagues who are just extreme, right? How dare you say that? She's beautiful in her own way after 10 iterations that we had to change, right? She wasn't perfect until that 10th iteration, but here she is now with her wonderful glasses and wonderful look and not looking anything like she did initially. But there we go.
And he can't say anything back to that either. Like, ideologically, he can't say anything to, as you said, she looks beautiful in her own way. What is his response? Like, no? Like, of course not, he can't say that.
Right. But they're going to go back. Did you ever see the movie, Not Another Teen Movie? Did you ever see that back in the day? It was an American, yeah?
I don't think so, no.
That's not Chris Evans, right?
Yeah. So there's another, so in that movie, it's so funny. In the movie, the lead character, the lead girl, Janie Briggs is her name. And Janie Briggs is like, she's stereotypical, like she has glasses and such, and they give her a makeover in it. And it's supposed to be a parody of all the teen movies, right? And she's obviously like beyond gorgeous, right? She has a ponytail and glasses, and then they give her a makeover, and all they do is take off the glasses and remove the ponytail, and she's like super hot, right?
Yep.
It's such a wonderful parody. That's kind of what I feel like they're doing, just in reverse, right? They're taking these really, really attractive people, but giving them the glasses and the ponytail, and being like, no, you're attractive. So, anyways, if I can find a way to sneak in a Not Another Teen Movie reference into the show every week, I'll be good. Which is good.
Listen, I need to circle back because Ian Soforth in the chat made a great question. What did that man do with all the marble and ceramics that he chopped off?
They were literally just tossed out or destroyed, like priceless artifacts ruined by the dozens. That's why we have so few of those statues, because the Romans and the Greeks made tons of them. And the little fig leaves were added later on, because later Christians were looking like, why did we ruin these irreplaceable treasures? It's like, okay, let's slap on a fig leaf. It's better than nothing, I guess.
Wow, so what you're saying, we need to protect all the private parts of the rest of the statues that do have them.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
What's going on, everybody? It's ETA Prime back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at the all-new E6 Plus Retro handheld console. Now, if you're into these handhelds, you might be familiar with the original E6. Now, when this hit the market, everybody was excited because this definitely looks like a little baby Steam Deck. A little bit of RGB built in, but the original was very lackluster. Ran Android, very underpowered for what we had. And when they originally announced the E6, they mentioned that the E6 Plus was coming, which was kind of a weird move, but it's here now. You can actually purchase this over on AliExpress. And with the new E6 Plus, it does have a built-in touch screen and a dual boot operating system, so we can run Linux, which is basically emulation station. Plus, it's got Android installed on the internal storage. The original E6 didn't have a touchscreen built in. It only ran Android, and that was kind of a real big downside. Not the Android part, but the fact that it didn't have a touchscreen. Kept the overall design, which is one that I like. I love the look of this little baby Steam Deck. Still built of plastic. We do have some RGB around the front, and this is the Galaxy Black version. As you can see, it's got a little bit of white paint splatter. Kind of makes it look like a galaxy full of stars. But yeah, we've got the same overall design as the original E6. Dual analog sticks. We've got that dish-style D-pad, Star Select, XY, regular shoulder buttons. We've also got regular triggers. They are not linear on this unit. And up top here, we've got our power button, two USB Type-C ports. One of these is strictly for charging the unit up. The other one is for OTP. Dual micro SD card slots, because on this one, it's actually running the operating system from the micro SD. We've got an extra one so we can store more games on it. Mini HDMI, 3.5mm audio jack, and our volume rocker. Inside of the box with the E6 Plus, you're going to get your USB Type-C charging cable. They also sent over some airplane headphones. So yeah, I mean, I guess these would definitely work if you don't have any. And we do get a glass screen protector, which is something I definitely want to put on, along with our user manual. Over here on this side, we get that funky D-pad, and on the original, it didn't work out really well. Kind of feels the same, but the face buttons and the D-pad on this are using conductive pads behind them. And I've always looked at this as a baby Steam Deck. So you can see they definitely took a lot from the Steam Deck. Obviously, we don't have those track pads or anything like that, but you can kind of get an idea where they got that from. I always thought the original E6 was pretty comfortable to play on for a long period of time. It kind of fits right in your palm. This is no different, but these have always felt a bit cheap when you compare them to other higher-end handheld gaming devices. Even these retro consoles are on that. And the going price on the E6 Plus right now is $70, so you really got to weigh your options. I've got the Galaxy Black version, but they do have a few other color variants. They've got the purple and green, which is giving off that Ava vibe. A retro, which is beige and red. They've also got a purple Galaxy, and of course that black Galaxy. And when it comes to the overall specs of the new E6 Plus, for the CPU, this is using the Rockchip 3366. We've seen this in a lot of handhelds, so we've really got an idea of how this is going to perform. It's a quad-core Cortex A55 up to 1.8 gigahertz. For the GPU, we've got the Mali G52, 2 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of internal storage, and that's what Android is going to be stored on. Linux is running from a micro SD card, and by the end of this video, we will take a look at Android on this. It's definitely not complete as a retro system, but I could see somebody really modifying everything and making it run really well. 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, a 5-inch 720p IPS touchscreen display. The screen in this is much better than the original E6, and that was what was kind of missing from that, because after all, the original E6 did run Android with kind of a lockdown launcher. Having that touchscreen would have really helped out. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this thing started up, and the first thing you're probably going to notice are the LEDs.